All right, guys, we should be coming up live.
Mic check, video check. Check.
Mic check.
Check.
Sounds good over here. Ooh, I just noticed I hit 505 subs today. Nice.
Check.
Took
you
us
sound a little far away.
22 minutes to get this started. It sucks, but...
Who sounds far away?
Oh, you sound fine now. You sounded a little far away for a second, but it's fine now. So it looks like we got some people in the chat already. Lusky the Farmer. Kelser Cannabis Hour. Hope I said that right. Kelsiers? Something like that. Grant Hubbard. What's up, Grant? All right. So I think we're just going to kind of chill for a minute and let people kind of get in a little bit. So, but tonight we're going to be talking about flat Earth theory. And I've got surrounded by Kief here because he is an awesome host. He co-hosts with me. And the man of the hour, we have Red Pill here with us too. You guys want to introduce yourselves, say hi for anybody that doesn't know you?
Everyone knows us.
I'll go first. I'm surrounded by Kief channel, and I do a couple different shows. And I also do this one with Penny Art, and I'm happy to be here. And I hope you guys can stay and enjoy the show where we're going to get to learn something.
Yeah.
I'm just a guy that's been floating around YouTube for the past 10 years. And all these and that kind of chats.
Nice. Well, I was in one of, I think one of Keith's chat one night, and it was like at the end of the chat, and I can't remember if it was you or who, but somebody mentioned flat Earth theory, and it was funny. It was like perfect timing for me because like the day before, a friend of mine, I had mentioned something about the Earth being round or something, and I was like, "Why is it like this?" or whatever. And she's like, "Well, that's because the Earth's flat," and I'm like, "What?" And she gave me like a small version of what flat Earth theory is. And then I heard you talking about it that night, and it really got me interested in it.
You know, the actual funny thing is, for thousands of years, people already knew the world was flat, and only for the past 500 was it being a globe theory. So it's more like a globe Earth theory compared to a flat Earth fact.
Yeah. Well, and wasn't it like something like in the late 1700s is when we made our first like air balloon, I think, that we were able to get high enough to see, see anything above the Earth, really.
Yeah, and we'll get to that.
It's
Today,
they already created a globe concept and model before they had gone up high enough to see if it was fact or not.
Hey, what's up,
Did anybody else catch the SpaceX 9 liftoff and landing from SpaceX?
Say that again, Keith?
Elon Musk, space company called SpaceX.
Yes.
Flew up like their largest ship, and they had it live. You could see the rocket go up, see the Earth. What they showed until later, but basically, the videos, you can take a look at it and see for yourself what cameras out there in space really show. I thought it was pretty interesting because they were showing this live thing. There was no curve. There was no curve. Meaning when you're looking at the horizon, the edge of whether you're looking at a sphere or a flat Earth, you're going to see an edge, so to speak, the horizon. And curved. It was from one end to the other end. The camera was a straight line.
Huh. Is that something that you can like find the footage of on YouTube or something?
Yes,
Probably just type in.
It's all over. There's high altitude balloon launches. There's rockets that go up to 94 miles that have non-GoPro or non-wide angle fisheye lenses that all show a level, eye level horizon.
Let me say hi to a couple people that came in. Erica Michelle came in. Rob's Reclaim. What's up, Rob? Rob 802 Toy Collector. We got both Robs in the house tonight.
Rob and Rob.
Two. Robin, Erica, welcome.
What strain you smoking on, Red? I asked you right when he's inhaling. Bad timing.
Just a big jar of distillate, so it's basically just pure THC. The strain is doesn't, it's irrelevant at this point when it's this refined.
I had a friend stop by yesterday. He tried out the 2 strains I harvested. The first strain, he said it tasted like and smelled like juicy fruit, the gum. And that's that star fruit one. I don't know if you can hear me, Red Pill. The one that star fruit, he said it was actually juicy fruit. And then the other one he said was pine. So I'm really happy that people like this stuff, or at least one person does.
Nice. The next strain review that I'm doing is the animated strain review, I should say, is with Jackie 420, and we're doing Ninja Fruit.
Oh, nice. That'll be fun.
So I think that may be kind of similar to the Juicy Fruit one, maybe. Sounds similar anyway.
Actually, the bud doesn't really have much of a smell, but then when you crack it open, like half, oh, so good. Yeah. Just cut open a pineapple or just started chewing on some bubble gum or juicy fruit. And I've got 3 more flavors coming. Great thing with Mexican bud is every seed you plant flavor. Joe says, I feel the earth is round. Well, I don't know what you mean by feel, because if you're talking about your feet, then probably you feel that the earth is flat. But I know what you mean. You feel in your heart the earth is round, but I'm open-minded, so if there's something else, I won't be opposed.
It's also
there's actually.
It's also good people
that's
know.
Where I'm unconvinced at this point, but I'm open-minded.
Yeah, and I'd like people to also know the differences that round can mean. Like when we say a round, we're talking the difference between a sphere, a ball, and round like a coin, like kief. Both things are round, but one is a sphere. So
I'm a good
I think
example.
a lot of people hear flat Earth and they just think of like a map being pulled down in school or something.
If you look,
that's kind of what most people think of like flat Earth, though, right? Is that you're eventually going to like fall off the side, but from what I understand, that's not exactly your theory on it.
No, that's what we were taught in preschool when they were making fun of it. No flat earther believes in an edge that you fall off of.
Right, which people believed for a long, long time. Like
no, they didn't.
People thought that the Earth was flat for a long time.
Right, but no one. That was like a thing that we were taught in school, that people thought there was an edge, and if you sailed too far away, you'd fly off. That wasn't a historical thing. That was just kept to people because for a while the elites had already discovered there was new land west of Europe and Africa. So in order to hide that, to tell people to be afraid to go out that way, they would tell them like sea monsters would get them, or there's an edge that they'd fall off of, because like you said, that everyone already knew that the world was flat. Back then there was no round or globe earth belief, so you could tell someone that there's an edge if you sailed too far away. No one had had gone that far except for people that had naval fleets and could build ships capable of going that distance. And the first people to get far enough to find that there is new land kept it a secret. They didn't want anyone going over there, so they would just tell people that a kraken will destroy you, or you'll fall off the edge, you know.
Right.
Fairy tale.
Well, most of us that grew up with, like, in our classroom having a globe, and that's one of the first things we're taught, is the Earth is round and how the planets, you know, go around each other. So, and you know, we believe that because we're given all this evidence that proves that theory, so to speak. But from what I've heard from you, you've got some really interesting theories that point the other way.
Well, so I would say it's almost like the opposite. For me, I didn't believe it at first. I questioned it, but I didn't have any argument for it. I didn't have anything to reinforce what I thought, because I was a 6-year-old. You know what I mean? I don't know how to combat an argument, to testify and say, well, these are the facts for what I believe, opposed to what you're trying to teach me. But it took me 25 years to be able to research it on my own.
Yeah.
I've got something.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Surroundedby Kief, but I've got to say, like, I don't super well know Red Pill. But what I do know of him, for you guys that are watching that are thinking, this guy's crazy, this guy is no dummy. Like, this is no dummy over here. You know, so keep an open mind. Let's listen to what he has to say. And I've written down, like, some main points that I think we could go over that, you know, are the things that we've always been taught. And let me ask you our first question here, Red Pill.
Yep.
Okay, so the moon would be my first bit of proof that the Earth is round, because as we have lunar eclipses, the Earth goes between the sun and the moon, right? And so we see the shadow of the Earth's shadow on the moon, I believe, right? So we see that as round, therefore that would prove that the Earth is round. Why?
Real quick, just to set some standard, as so we know what we're talking about. When we say round, the flat Earth model is round as well. I think that's what Red Pill was talking about. So if you look at my coin, coin goes round. It'd be called
better to say globe.
Globe.
Yeah. Right.
And then maybe the other one we could say, is it okay to call it a flat Earth?
Yes.
For this meeting? Okay. So we'll have the globe Earth and the flat Earth. Because otherwise it can get confusing, because
they're both round. You know, it's the thing.
You can go around the Earth on a flat Earth model. You can go around it the same way you go around. It's kind of hard to imagine, but
the same thing. There'd be no difference. Someone actually traveling around the world wouldn't know if they're going around a sphere or a flat plane, because they're navigating opposed to north. Your east and west directions are perpendicular to north. So you're just circling around the North Pole, regardless of if it's on a flat plane or around a globe.
Yep, just like a merry-go-round. You get on the merry-go-round, you go round and round and round. Same thing on the Earth.
Yeah, to answer Pennyard's question, with the lunar eclipses, that was, I think, I can't remember if it was Copernicus or Newton that first had the demonstrations of that and illustrations of, and that's kind of what we're going back to. Well, who was it?
Aristotle?
Aristotle. Well, maybe it went that far back too, but a lot of these people just kind of refound their old work, and there's like questionable history if all those old history people that long ago even existed, or if it was, like we're saying, the first people to think of it were just 500 years ago, because the first globe is only from 1492, but ball Earth or globe Earth concepts go back to ancient Greece, which is 200 or 600 BC, right? But in between that time, there wasn't any globes, so it was just like an obscure thought, just a way to describe what we lived on other than what people thought of it as at the time. But yeah, I think it was Copernicus actually went around with demonstrations of it, and he had an illustration of what it would be like if it was a diamond-shaped Earth or an octagon-shaped Earth and a square-shaped Earth.
Yeah, I think I've seen like pictures of that before. Yeah.
Right, and this is where it would
So
go
with
back
the whole
to people's. Hold on, one second. I'm almost done. When people think of like a flat Earth getting pulled down, like the square map in school, that's kind of what people thought of. They're like, oh, if it's flat, it's got to be a square. So that way, if the moon's in front of the Earth and the sun's behind it, it's going to be a square shadow on the moon. Well, we know that the shadow or the cycle or phases of the moon don't have to do with the shadow of the Earth. And the biggest example would be during lunar eclipses, there's examples of the sun and moon being in the sky at the same time. So you can't have the sun up, the moon up, and a lunar eclipse with supposedly the Earth casting the shadow in between the two. All right, that's proof that both bodies, the sun and moon, are over the Earth at the same time. The phases are independent of the shadow because there's no orbiting spherical bodies. You just have two luminary bodies over a flat plane.
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt here because there's some people in chat saying things like fucking morons, and here you can see the curve on a big lake, fucking morons. Billy Payne, you sound really dumb when you call somebody a name when you don't even know what you're just talking about.
You're making us look good there, buddy.
You're making yourself look really bad. First of all, you haven't looked into it, so that's one thing. You're speaking from an uneducated position. Second of all,
let it all go, because this is a perfect example of who we have on both sides of the argument. You got people fucking morons because you can see imaginary curves on lakes, but then you got people in reality telling you in concise manners how things really work. So it'll all speak for itself.
Like this is another thing that's made me more open to what we would think was crazier theories.
Right.
When I was younger, like medical theories, like those that know me know that I have some pretty serious medical problems in my own life. And when I was younger, or like people I know that have similar conditions that, are much older than me now, the best of the best doctors thought they knew how to cure this, knew how to cure that. They knew the way to cure insanity by, tying people down and doing awful things to them. The best of the best believed that and told everybody else, this is okay. This is what we believe. We expect to believe, that people won't lie to us, or that they know what they're talking about.
I could tell you.
And they don't always. We learn new stuff all the time, and you got to be open to new stuff to learn it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I mean, you're the one that sounds dumb when you call people names and you can't prove to yourself. If I asked you right now to prove it, and you mention a lake with a ship going over the horizon, go zoom in on it and tell me it went over a curve. Because that's what people do. They have done on the most flat places of the Earth, It's all on the internet. Look it up. And if you don't
Yeah.
believe what you see on YouTube, take a
Yes.
telescope out, see how far you can see. You'll
That's the
see the ship is still there. It's just far away. And so you should
it's,
be able to understand see for yourself.
that's the great thing about
Playing one
this
time.
thing is
One more thing, Billy Payne. When I first heard about this, I didn't call people morons, but I did say to myself, wait a minute, I've been on a plane and I seen a curve. It didn't. This earth is a globe to the point where we think. I ask you, Billy Payne, next time you're on a plane, and come back and tell us what you see. Because I know you're not going to see a big old curve around the earth. Yet.
Well, but I have seen when I've been on a plane, it does seem like there is a curve to the earth.
well,
Maybe when you're
what you're
taking
seeing
off
is the
or
natural.
landing.
You're seeing the natural way your eyes work. You're just seeing perspective. You know, things. The ground and the sky get closer together and meet on the horizon. And
Yeah,
we've just been
especially when
told
you're
from birth that we're seeing all the way to curvature, which isn't true. Our eyes don't work that good, even if it was a ball. Our eyes work on the natural way of they all converge in the center. And when you look down a long hallway or a tunnel, the ground and the ceiling meet. So do the walls. It's just the way our eyes work. So
Right.
Billy Payne, when you're high up in that plane, when they level off at 30,000 feet or whatever it is,
when they level off in the plane, I like how you use those words.
when they level off in the plane. Yeah, exactly. Billy Payne, do you have, he's saying some ugly things now. I don't know if you want to just ban him.
Yeah,
'Cause-
I'm not sure how to do that though. It doesn't come up on my phone. Can you make moderators where you're at?
No, unfortunately, I'm not able to click on the little dots that show up next to their name. I don't know if that happens on a phone or not. If he
Yeah, I
doesn't
don't know.
say
I'll have to go
what
through
he
the
just
time and
said there.
make moderators, but just ignore them, guys.
All right. But the loser.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I didn't get to finish about the lunar phases and the eclipses, but
Yes.
right now,
What is that shadow that we're seeing? If it's not
well,
shadow of the Earth, what is it?
right. Right now, in modern times and throughout history, there's been lots of recordings of lunar eclipses during the daytime. So, like in dusk or in the evening, when you can see the moon and the sun at the same time, lunar eclipses have taken place. Obviously, last time it's been a lunar eclipse wherever you're at. If it's nighttime, it's daytime somewhere, and it's also evening and morning somewhere. So they see that regardless of where they're at on Earth, they see the lunar eclipse. So people are seeing it in the morning and evening and recording it. And it's been recorded now and throughout history. We don't really know what the phases or eclipses of the moon are. We do know that they're regular, that they happen time.
People have recorded like the entire phase.
Yes, but I mean, we don't know the operations of what the mechanics are. Is what I'm saying. We do know
again real quick to the chat that obviously Red Pill studies this stuff. If you haven't studied this stuff, please keep your comments to yourself about what you think about us or the topic. It's best to just be quiet. Otherwise, you guys are the ones sounding like fools. He knows both sides of the argument.
You
He knows
don't have to get yourself worked up though, because people that are here to listen can just see what example these people are making for themselves. So
saying that they know that Red Pill knows more about the globe Earth that you believe in than you do. So, I mean, the guy has looked into it. He studied it. You haven't. If you haven't, then, you ask questions and stuff, but don't come to conclusions about us.
I've been on planes, I own a telescope, and I live right on the Great Lakes. So, I mean, I got all the globe facts. I can shoot them all down.
But just to make things really simple, guys, if you really care, look up the flat Earth model, and you'll get an idea of what we're talking about here. In terms of the moon phases, the sun, and the eclipses, and all that,
yeah, that's
works.
kind of a complex thing. It takes a while to explain. Like I'm saying, we do know
the same way on a flat Earth. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say, is that it all works together. Nothing changes in terms of like, oh, you can't, they won't exist.
The only
if
thing
the
that
model
changes
is
is the
flat.
explanation. Or something.
Yes.
We all see the same thing going on. It's just people have different explanations for why it's caused. But like I wanted to say, the last thing I'll say about the moon and its phases and the eclipses. Up until mainstream modern cosmology, the ancients believed that there was also transparent bodies, just like the moon and sun, that are responsible for solar and lunar eclipses. The Vedics call them Rahu and Ketu. You have translucent disks that pass over the sun and the moon eclipses. That was the way they explained it.
Translucent, so they.
Yeah, like you don't see them during the day, or you don't see them during the night, because they're in the sky. You see right through them. But when they pass over the sun or the moon, you can see through them. Like that's why the moon will get its red tint. Supposedly K2 is, I think K2 is the lunar eclipse, and that's more of a red shaded body.
What could be so big that you'd be able to, like, what would that be made out of if it was translucent?
Well,
I'm trying to picture that in my mind.
Well, the moon is translucent. I mean, there's also been photographs and throughout history recordings of people being able to see other planets and stars through the moon.
Okay. All right. Well, let me ask you another one.
Yeah.
We were talking about the curvature of the Earth. That's another one that I think of as, when like an ant walks on an orange, if you think of it that way, or a ship that's coming up to the shore that you're watching coming in from the horizon. It seems to go from in the sea, up. So, and that's another thing that you would think it would do, because there's a curvature of the Earth, so it's actually coming up around the.
Well, if you were actually seeing that, like you said, it would be a really small Earth that we were living on. Like if you went out to a lake and you actually could see a ship going over the horizon, that would mean that the curve of the Earth and whatever other quarter of the Earth is just a few miles in front of you, right? Because like I said, our eyes have limitations to their sight. There's multiple all over the world places that you can see the lack of curvature, like we're saying. There's the easiest place, most common here in America, is Chicago from across Lake Michigan. That's the most common. Right. That's 55 miles. That's on a clear day in multiple locations across Chicago. You can see it, and it's not a mirage. People have gotten in boats with Chicago in view of a camera and sailed or traveled to it, and it didn't disappear or reappear or go beneath the horizon and then lift back up. It just got bigger as they got closer to it, proving that you could see it plain straight across through the water.
What got bigger as you got closer to it? I'm sorry?
Chicago, the city.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because a lot of people say it's a mirage or it's an optical illusion. But mirages are kind of more specific and they're easier to spot out. They'll have distortions or waviness to it, or sometimes they'll actually be inverted. One of the most common mirages is for an image to be flipped upside down. So you would see a upside down Chicago skyline if it was in fact a mirage.
Right.
But that's just, common ones. There's ones all over. There's islands in Italy that can be seen past 100 miles away, so that's double the distance. Factor in the elevations of the highest point that you can see to your elevation where you're standing at or taking the picture, and it still should in some cases be anywhere between hundreds. In Chicago's case, the tallest building in Chicago is Sears Tower, or whatever it's called now, Willis Tower. But even with the curvature in mind, there would still be, I think, 600 feet of invisible city. You wouldn't be able to see even the top 600 feet of Willis Tower. And if it was a globe, you should be able to just see Willis Tower 600 feet sticking about up and kind of leaning away from you.
Right.
So, yeah, and there's also lots of people that have tried to redo kind of what we're going back to with Aristotle. Another person, Eratosthenes, this first person to supposedly calculate the radius and the circumference of Earth. And people have tried to duplicate that or repeat that project. And all the math has always came out bigger, exaggerated than his original experiment, which shows that even if we are living on a globe, it is bigger than they say. It is more massive, and there's possibly more land. Like, we're getting back into situation. So, you know.
Yeah, I think that was kind of I think you kind of answered another question, because that was another thing that was, like the higher you go, the farther you should be able to see.
Yes. Yeah, the higher you see it, and there's the first thing that you notice is the higher you go, the horizon always rises to your eye level. On a sphere or a globe or a ball, the horizon should always stay tangent to where it starts. So it should never rise with you. If you're rising in a balloon or on a ladder or climbing up something, or any type of altitude rising, you should see the ground level stay where it's at, or curving in all directions, 360 degrees around you. But in reality, if you're going up in a balloon or on top of a ladder or in a plane, right, you always see a level horizon, right at eye level, right in front of you. And you can see that as high up as the highest recording I've seen is 94 miles. There's private rockets, not NASA or SpaceX or anyone. It's just rockets up with cameras on it, non-GoPro, non-fisheye lenses, and shows a level, flat horizon at 94 miles.
Somebody had a question earlier I wanted to ask. I forget her name. It was the lady she asked earlier. She asked a couple times. I promised her I would ask. And she was asking about that one dude, Bull. Maybe he flew up there and he jumped off from some platform.
Right.
Why do we around or globe Earth or whatnot from that point of view? I don't know if you already mentioned it. I don't know.
A good thing to go back and watch, and there's multiple cameras that are taken up there. There's onboard cameras inside the capsule, and there's exterior ones outside the capsule. The exterior ones are shot with the GoPros, and that's not hidden. It's GoPro and Red Bull doing the thing, and they show what's an obvious globe Earth, but the thing is, it's the same amount of curvature as it is before it takes off. I mean, a GoPro can just turn it on and see it makes where you're at right now the room all round. So
Big Ed 1961 was saying that he said, no, your target angle changes with elevation. But if I understand what you're saying, like, the thing about that is, like you're saying, it's an optical illusion. The whole thing.
You're still on a triangular system, though. None of these lines are turning into a parabola. Sorry. If that were true, then, like you're saying, that line of sight going down, say if you're just rising in a straight line up and you're looking at something further and further on the horizon, line going up is straight, line going out is straight at an angle, but that ground level, the further out you're looking would be more of a curve. And we can calculate using spherical trigonometry that it would be 8 inches per mile squared is the amount of curvature you should see on a 25,000 mile circumference ball or globe. And that's what we're going back to, is you can observe in multiple locations that there isn't that much curvature to be seen. And even if you were to find detail it and calculate it out, like some people on YouTube have, you only get exaggerated numbers. Like the number is 3959 in radius. And the closest anyone's ever gotten doing another test, I think, is 4065. So still within, 100 miles, pretty accurate. But the thing is, if it's a science and it's factual, it should be the exact same number and over again, unless Earth is gaining weight. Got bigger since Eratosthenes, but
Right. Well, and there are, I have heard, theories that the Earth is expanding. So, I don't know. But I think, like, I've got some other points that I could cover that I've seen.
Let's not try to get caught up on one point. I could just...
Yeah, there's the star constellations, they change depending on where you are on the equator. And, there was one on, if you put sticks up, like the old way we would do clocks, if you put 2 sticks up, the shadow will change on one because the Earth is curving as it orbits, whatever. But I think the really big thing comes down to, at least for me, is there's so many pictures and stuff that we've seen in school and still on TV of astronauts going up, and pictures of, that the astronauts have taken with their own cameras, and they to this day are real pictures. How do you explain that they are showing us
Before,
and they're saying that why would they lie to us?
Before we get into NASA pictures, and just want to say just one thing. When we were all young, Albert told us we were on a globe. Are we only believing in something that we were told? I'm not a scientist.
Oh, absolutely, because none of us. Well, I can speak for myself. I've never traveled around the Earth. How do we small folks know?
You can go around the Earth. You can travel around it, but it doesn't have to be a sphere to do that. So, I mean, that's basically... I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I can't... We are a sphere. But when I was a little kid, if nobody ever taught me that we're a globe, or that, show me a globe or whatever, I remember the Earth is freaking flat, because I'm just a little kid walking down a sidewalk.
Well,
flat.
Yeah,
I didn't live in a hilly area. So in my little mind, the Earth is flat. That way until somebody told me, no, you're on something that's got gravity, and there's people underneath you that are upside down. When I found that out, I was like, I don't know what, 4 years old or whatever. When I found out
we walk upside down,
wasn't that a trip to find that out? That sounds so not normal. Like, whoa, are they sure? Are you, teacher? Are you sure you're right about this one? I don't know about this walking upside down thing.
If we're all being honest with ourselves, I'm pretty sure we all thought that. To just be honest with ourselves and consider it now that we're adults and rethink it. So we go past the programming that it might have been something we were programmed to believe. Like you said, what's the lie for in that? The lie is just being perpetuated now because the people haven't figured it out yet. It was...
Charlie said they told you we were on a globe. They also told you everyone was equal.
That's so true. Same people, man. But the question was about NASA.
I'm mad about that.
Am I right that the question was about NASA pictures and video of the globe Earth?
Yeah. That's a loaded question, and you have to be more specific, like, because you said images of the Earth itself, and then images that supposed astronauts have taken themselves. Well, it's actually not hidden or disclosed or kept secret at all. You know, it's totally out there. You can find the people whose day job it is to make the images, but no image of the Earth. The only one that they claim to be a real legitimate one is the ones taken during the Apollo missions on the way to the moon, and that's a whole nother conspiracy. But all the modern pictures are all composites. They're all digitally put together in a computer anyways, right? Every image of the Earth that you've seen, all of us in books and on TV, all that, you never seen a real picture of the Earth. Sorry. And that's a thing you can go look for yourself right now.
Well, the biggest one that I think of is that picture from when the astronauts were on the moon, and they take a picture of the Earth from the point of view of the
Photoshop.
moon.
Yeah, well, that's all well and good if they're actually on the moon, right?
Right, but then you got to, yeah, that kind of leads into another story of, you know, do you believe the astronauts really landed on the moon, which I know is a whole nother conspiracy conversation.
Worms. Yeah. No, but and going to the astronaut ones, when you see them on the ISS or in other capsules or doing spacewalks and all that, that all falls under the Hollywood category. NASA gets millions of dollars a day, billions of dollars a year, and they have more money to do. You know, they can make 20 avatars a year with the money that they've hoarded over their inception. They've gotten, I think, over $500 billion since the 60s. Money, yeah, you can produce a lot of fakery things to just pretty much fool the common day person if they don't know they're being deceived, you know.
Right. Well, I've seen like I think it's NASA that has like a YouTube channel that I've watched before where they go live from space and they're floating around in anti-gravity and stuff. Like, is your suggestion that that's fakery?
Oh, yeah, that's 100%. I can find you right now. They're bad editing. What they do is they live edit.
It's horrible.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
They're all hanging from harnesses. Anytime you see them with like things that are in their hands, that's all AR contacts that let them see these AR things. And sometimes it fails, and they'll be holding an object, and it won't even be showing on the screen that you're seeing. They'll be like playing with like a hat or a ball, but they're seeing it with their contacts, but you don't see it on your screen because there's an error computing it. And they've really slipped up bad, and they had actual former president come through and visit NASA one time, and they're showing him take his visit and his tour through the place, and the cameras of the people working in the background all got a astronaut who's supposed to be in the ISS as that is going on in front of a blue screen. And they had to actually incorporate it and had all this damage control press about it. Like they say, oh yeah, they have they're aboard the ISS, but they have that for special occasions. They do use CGI, but it's aboard the ISS. So in cabin, you know, inside the ISS, that's all Hollywood done with harnesses, green screens, and little bit suppressed technology from us, AR contact lenses. Outside, when they're doing spacewalks, that's live edited also, and you can see how they do that in their whatever it would be. They're like for testing and all that. They show that they actually have a giant pool with a replica ISS down to every detail in it, and it's like this super clean pool. It's got like the most badass filters that have ever been made for any type of pool in there. It's super clean, crystal clear water.
Well, they have perfect replicas right now of the moon. I know that for sure because I've seen it. Like, you can go to space camp and see those. Like, they've made the rock material, you know, the same as what is on the moon. Even it's so they can practice and stuff. But yeah, they could just as easily shoot a movie there, and we would never know they were on the moon.
Right.
But
So that's the thing is NASA and Hollywood are intimately involved, and there's all types of extra conspiracies, like we're talking about the moon landings. There's lots of evidence saying that they got helped by Stanley Kubrick to do all that. There's a lot of good documentary work on that. But you have to watch out, because since all this flat Earth stuff has become relevant again, they actually made a fake Stanley Kubrick confession talking about that. So don't fall for that. It went viral, but the people a week later admitted to it being fake and fooling people. So
I just want to say that, you know, a lot of this stuff about like NASA and, you know, our big organizations, United States of America, like, yeah, NASA's lying to us, whatever. It sounds crazy, but all you have to do, and you're not to look for people who are talking about this. You tune into YouTube and you find NASA videos where they literally mess up, and you can see that they're using a green screen. You can see the guy was being hoisted by a device that's lifting him, making it seem like he's in zero gravity, or making sure that when they're, well, it basically, look it up, guys. You will see so many videos.
yeah.
They admit that they use Photoshop.
They admit to it. Yeah, they admit to it. They had to do damage control, and they say that they incorporate CGI for like educational purposes. And
Sometimes you guys see pictures of nebula. That's not what they look like. All the pictures of the
no,
galaxies that you guys see,
definitely not.
not what they look like.
No, I've been to observatories and looked at the Andromeda galaxy, and it's literally a cloud. Like I was upset, and I was trying to tell people when I was seeing it, like, I don't see anything. I'm just looking at a cloud. They're like, yeah, that's what it looks like. And I'm like, I thought it's supposed to be like a spiral galaxy, and it's all like in twinkling stars. And they're like, no, that's they fine detail it to make it look like that on TV. But in reality, if you look at an Andromeda galaxy with the real professional telescope, like giant observatory one in the domes,
yeah.
it looks like a cloud with a firefly inside of it.
I got a
It's nothing
question
special.
here from
This is the thing too. I think. Let me say, like, this is the thing too. I think, like, people that will automatically say, "Oh, this stuff is crazy." Like, if you ask them specific reasons why, you know, they're right. You know, it's hard even for me to admit sometimes. You know, like, I don't know. I have to educate myself on, you know, why I think this or that is right. Like, and it, like Red Pill says, it really comes down to, the answer comes down to, well, because that's what they told me. That's what I've always been told. You know, so if nothing else, this gives people an opportunity to
At least question it.
educate themselves on why they believe they're right. And maybe you'll come across something that you thought you knew that maybe you see in a different way.
It's really important for people actually to question for themselves, because this is seriously the only alternative theory, I guess, if you like conspiracy theory. It's kind of like a, you know, it's almost like a bad word to say in certain circles because it's not a conspiracy. But the thing is, you can go out and do your own experiments. This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about like magical theories that we live on Earth. So you can go test right now if you want to find out if it's a globe or if it's flat. Of demonstrating whether or not, like, we didn't, the last question you asked, what we didn't get into is the constellations in this. In the southern hemisphere, and there's a lot of people say, I see the moon upside down in the southern hemisphere. That's proof of a globe. But it's not. You're just seeing opposite angles of two different things. If I were to smiley face sticker on my roof or my ceiling right now and stand on one side of it, I would see the eyes in front of me, and you stand on the other end of it and you see the mouth in front of you. It's our perspective of looking at something. Okay, so we're both going to see the opposite ends of it if we're standing at the opposite ends of it. Same as with star trails. A lot of people get confused and think the stars are spinning in opposite direction in the southern hemisphere, because when two people are looking at each other, if we're at the equator, and east to us is on separate directions of our body. We both point east, but one of us is pointing with our left hand, one of us is pointing with our right hand. Right? Because we're mirroring each other. So a lot of people think because of that they're spinning in opposite directions, but it's not. It's just optical illusion based on the perspective of two people looking at something in the same spot in the sky when they're across or mirrored from each other. And
okay,
yeah,
that settles in a little clearer.
I figure a few people, and especially you, might be able, and this is actually one of the things that got me to look into it, is because on these Google Hangouts, I heard two people talking about this. I do have a slight, art background, and I'm looking at one guy's back, like how we're on cam right now, and he's got all his art projects behind him. It's a globe Earth. And the person talking to him is telling him that, no, the ship's going over the horizon and sunsets and all that. That's all perspective. There's no curvature. And then the guy's not getting it. And I'm like looking at his art and that. I'm like, dude, you should be getting this. You should know how perspective works. And then that's literally what got me to look into it, because someone who I knew for a fact who should know how perspective works and why things get smaller as they get further away from you and vanish, you should be able to get that's why it happens in real life. I mean, we draw things like that to make it look like real life because that's what's happening in real life.
Yeah. Let me, I just noticed a comment. Wendy Payne said that the flat Earth, I'm sure, will be proven by a bunch of potheads, and science history will be forever changed by looking on Google. We're not trying to prove anything.
Yeah. No. Actually, I'll say that right now. There's actually a whole this Wendy Payne, and I think the last name is the other person's. They're in together on this, but anyways, there's a whole group of flat earthers that actually are pretty dead set, and they think they're going to prove this once and for all with a little project they're running right now. But I'm actually on their side. I don't think it'll ever be proven. Do you really think Neil deGrasse Tyson is going to come out one day and be like, you got me, y'all, I was lying? No, It's not going to happen. You think NASA is just going to go away? You think they're going to stop pulling in the money that they're doing? No. You think Elon Musk is going to not pretend to send people to Mars and around the moon and all that? No. That's all still going to go on. Because, like I said, we're still having this argument here. The argument's been going on 500 years. It dies in and dies and comes back every now and again. But what we're talking about is still ongoing. You have to go outside and prove it for yourself. You yourself have to decide. You don't go on a crusade proving the globe or proving flat Earth. It all matters what you think in your head, what you see in your eyes. Okay? So it's fine if people want to look into or not look into it and just go off what they were taught first thing off in school. But if you want to go out and test it, then you're going to find out that it doesn't hold weight. And we've only gone over like 3 of the most common things that people get brought up. We didn't even go into the whole history. Like we're talking about the first people to come up with the concept of spherical bodies orbiting and circling other bodies. Whole cosmology and history that we could read quotes from those people that came up with those theories that I could show that they knew that they were only hypotheses. They didn't get past the theory part. And that's why I was saying earlier that it's more of like a flat Earth fact opposed to globe Earth theory. That came up with heliocentric model. They write themselves in their own journals and documents. It's just a hypothesis, and none of it can be proven, with certainty. And you got people.
I would love to keep talking about this because I know there's so many other points, and your stuff on this. But my friend Southern Dabber 420 comes on here any minute, so I don't want to step on his toes. He's got a good life going on after this. But last question, that's a big one for me, Redfill. Why would NASA lie to us? Why would they lie?
the reason to perpetuate the lie today is just to get our money. But the lie started, like we're saying, 500 years ago. And in some point in time, there was good in science, you know.
But how are they getting more money by continuing the lie?
Because they're funded money. Like Donald Trump just wrote them off for the next 50 billion for this year.
Okay, for the space program to go more. Okay, gotcha.
For you to see all the fake pictures that they're sending us saying it's Earth and ISS and all that. Yeah, that's what that's going towards. And what I like to call blowjob money, but that I won't get into detail with that. But going back to it, besides the lie today, there were good science-minded people brought up and inquisitive and wanting to figure this out for themselves. Like I'm saying, we all didn't just argue about it back in the day. We would do experiments and tests to verify if what we believed was factual or not. From 1601 to pretty much, I'd say the mid-50s, 1950s. So 450 years, actual research. Like, no one knows what yet, you know, it's not known. But because of exploration from the military in the 50s, we kind of knew our enclosure. We knew there was only a certain distance that we can go south to get far enough from the sun where it gets cold. You know, absolute dark and absolute zero temperature. So we set up the Antarctic Treaty, or you can look that up. It's the longest running UN treaty that they've had. It's not even up for debate till I think 2061 or some crazy.
Yeah, I just heard about this today. This is an interesting point. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this is interesting.
Yeah, but it's a total off-limit zone except for military and scientific research. No resourcing of the land at all.
Like one of the only pieces of property in the world that somebody hasn't purchased, right?
Exactly, right. You're technically not allowed to resource or take from the land at all. It's totally off limits and not even up for debate what they're gonna do with it, divide it up, mine it, resource it. That doesn't get decided for a long time. So we know there's a certain boundary, right? We can only go south on the map a certain distance. 50s, right? Not long after that, I think 59 is when NASA was founded. And not long after that, in 10 years, you know, they're already on their way to the moon, supposedly. So in this meantime point, the person in charge of all this research and technology and work was Wernher von Braun, the person that made the rockets, supposedly, that took us to the moon. And it's really important for people to research the books that he wrote on how to get to the moon, and you even look up what he has on his tombstone, where he's buried. He has a Bible quote that says the firmament shows his handiwork. And in biblical cosmology, the firmament is the barrier of our enclosed system. Okay, it's literally a ceiling of the earth. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's a little ironic that the person supposedly that went to the moon has a Bible, you know, a piece taken from the Bible talking about a barrier in the sky.
Well, many religions believed in the barrier in the sky for many years. Like, I hate to put a name on any of them because I'm not entirely sure, but I want to say the Jewish culture believed that the soul was under the earth and the barrier, you know, between heaven and
where basically everyone envisioned it as almost like a snow globe, like a pedestal.
Yes.
Pedestal with a dome over us, encapsulated in our little Earth terrarium.
Right.
Basically, most ancient cosmology has some type of enclosed system as their belief structure for what they knew the Earth to be. Some people thought it was extended out, like a vast plain, like way, you know, 8 billion miles wide, like a long column. you know, with multiple layers stacked on top of each other. So, but the thing that they had in common was it's flat and geocentric, meaning that everything revolves around us. It's just turning around our heads and above our heads.
It was really difficult to understand how to even think about the word flat Earth. Like, what do I picture? And it wasn't until I looked up the model in Google Images that I can then see, and then you can see how the sun and the moon and everything work on it, what it looks like from the top down, what's at the edges. Something called the edge, it's the South Pole, but it's hard to imagine how does North Pole and South Pole work on a flat Earth? Until I seen the picture of it, did I understand. And I think even some people are saying it's not easy to wrap our heads around. Well, you need an image to take a look at. I don't know. I don't want to show it because my computer
take it all in just one day or 1 hour, whatever, however long it's been. It's something that you gotta take bit by bit and try and relate it to things that you've thought your whole life. Like I'm trying to say, I think just being honest with people, lots of things about the globe or space or all these different scientific models didn't make sense to us in some way or another. So now that you're old enough to question it and research it, maybe looked into it.
Yep. Well,
and just one last thing, and to finish with the science, for 450 years, until they figured out they couldn't get to the moon, that they knew that ancient cosmology and all the old people were right. Like, for that 450 years, they were trying to figure out if it was a ball or if the heliocentric model was accurate. But because science is science, it will prove fact. They figured out that it's not. We don't live on a globe flying through space. And the fact is, when the higher authority figured that out before the public, they decided to keep it a cover-up, not let us in on it. That's all.
All right. Well, I so appreciate you coming on tonight, Red Pill, and
yep.
I apologize to those in the chat that I don't have moderators on. I'll try to get those on now, but hopefully, we've opened some eyes up to, just, if nothing else, ways other people think. Open your minds up to, there's enough people questioning the flat Earth theory that I think it's worth looking into, and not just saying flat out, "Oh, that's stupid." You know what I mean?
No, we're 2 years into this. If it was anything dumb, it wouldn't have lasted this long. And like I'm saying, there's lots of experiments. You could go outside right now, and well, literally right now, if you have a infrared thermometer, some flat surfaces of different materials, wood, paper, metal, and if the moon is out for you right now, you can demonstrate for yourself that moonlight is colder than the surrounding temperature around you. Just how sunlight is hotter. You know, when you step in the shade during a hot day, it's cooler. When you step in the shade under moonlight, it's warmer. Moonlight has its own specific cold light that actually can be magnified. Just as you put a magnifying lens under the sun, it gets hotter. Put a magnifying lens under the moon, it gets colder. Showing that the moon has its own independent light, non-reflected from the sun. That's just one proof that most of us can all go out and you can see tens, probably hundreds of videos at this point now on YouTube showing for themselves and figuring out as a fact.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, those are some things that I might try out just to see, So, but
yep.
You definitely given me more things, to think about and look into. And, if nothing else, like although there's some things I haven't totally wrapped my mind around, there are definitely things that I've looked into and just learned more about some some of the theories that you've talked about, some ways that you've explained it, that it's like, now that I can kind of, I can kind of see, and then it kind of opens the door for a little bit more, and
yeah,
and plus it's just really fun to talk about. I enjoy hearing your
before I even fully looked into the flat Earth, like I said, I heard someone's conversation and it sparked interest because I had seen videos about it years ago before it became a relevant topic. Because Hollow Earth, somehow I got down the Hollow Earth rabbit hole, and when I started researching that, flat Earth videos were suggested to me on YouTube. But this is years ago, before it was even as popular as it is now. I could have even been more ahead of the game now than I would if I would have paid attention from that point. But no, I reconsidered it and looked into it only a few months, like 2 months after I just got done rewatching all the Star Trek series. Like I was, big science fiction or science fiction fan and space and all that, and watched hundreds of space documentaries. Like I said, I had my own telescope, I've been to observatories.
There you go.
Went through all that. So I mean, it's not like.
But figuring it out yourself is the big, really looking into the things you've been told and what you believe and questioning.
A lot of people, I think, it breaks their heart. The first day they hear it, they think, oh, it's not a globe. That means everything was a lie, and it breaks their heart. But it shouldn't. You should still have that same mindset and just study it under.
It's too big for a lot of people to believe. But if you take it bit by bit, it makes it, it makes it easier, I think. But is there anything you wanted to conclude on too, Kief?
About flat Earth?
My bad. I'm about to die here anyway, so.
Yeah.
Flat Earth? Last words about flat Earth?
Uh-huh.
Don't hate. Like I said, when you go on YouTube, you're watching astronauts speak. You're watching NASA. Those are you're not watching some made up stuff. These videos are out there. All you have to do is find them. Go subscribe to Red Pill. Eventually his channel will be full of, or he'll have a different channel for this type of stuff. But are there any channels we should subscribe to if we want to learn more, Red Pill?
I'll try not to, it's kind of weird giving attention to certain people, but I'll try and just, for new people, where to go to get the best information. Right now, if you at all need any question answered at any time of the day, ODD TV does a 24-hour stream of Flat Earth. That's the trend now, is a lot of Flat Earth channels are doing 24/7 live streams of Flat Earth content. So just search that. If you need a question answered, or you're wondering something at 2:31 in the morning and you kind of need it answered, you don't know what to look up, just put in Flat Earth 24/7 live stream. You'll be able to find it. But if you want just a quick, concise video, then Flat Earth in 5 minutes. Just type that in, Flat Earth in 5 minutes by ODD TV. And then if you need more direct answers and you have time to sit down and listen to them, if you need something specifically answered, 200 proofs Earth is not a spinning ball. No, that's about it.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for all the information, Red Pill. Thank you for coming on tonight. And thank you to Surroundedby Kief. Make sure you guys sub up to them. 2 really good channels. And thank you to everybody that came in the chat. I see Why You Trippin' came in. Thug Doug, you've been in pretty much the whole time, and I don't think I told you hi. So I want to make sure I say hi to Thug Doug.
Thank you, everyone.
Osmosis, Wizlaws, a whole bunch of people came in.
And
a couple trolls still hanging out. That's okay, though.
Yeah, that's what I want to say just real quick. To mention real quick, as much hate there might be in chat, a couple people, there's also quite a bit of people who have looked into this flat Earth thing and side, their beliefs are on that side of the argument. And there was KNF was here, Thug Doug, YU Turpin, and a bunch of others that, this is something that people are starting to look into. The more that people will look into it, the more people realize that things aren't quite how they seem.
Yep. And
Yep.
look at those globe lovers in the chat making examples. That's all you got to really stand back and look at. Look how people hang on tight to that globe.
All right,
Well, you're
guys.
bursting.
I'm going to tell everybody goodbye because my battery's about to die here anyway. So thanks again, everybody, for coming. And we'll try to come back again. Hopefully, maybe next Friday, and do some other paranormal topic, ghosts, something. I don't know. Send me a comment in the chat afterwards or whatever if you got something specific that you'd like us to talk about. So, and that's all. Everybody, make sure to make somebody else smile today if you can. And have a good day, everybody. This has been Pity Art, surrounded by Keith and Red Pill. Bye, guys.
Thank you.